and opened with trust. And when the truth finally surfaced, the most terrifying question wasn't, "Who did this?" It was, "If death arrives wrapped like a gift, would you recognize it before it's too late?" That summer day seemed like any other, yet history has a cruel habit of hiding catastrophe inside ordinary moments. It was a still afternoon in June 1903 in the quiet town of Lynchburg, Virginia. A peaceful house stood near the banks of the James River, surrounded by a white wooden fence, climbing rose vines, and a porch swing gently hanging in front. The air carried a mix of freshly cut grass and the damp scent of the river. No one felt the need to go indoors. The heat was unbearable, so the family sat on the porch, fanning themselves, lost in casual conversation. No one knew that death had already entered the house, silent, polite, and patient. That death did not arrive with a scream, a threat, or a weapon. It arrived as a gift. Eleanora Harper, 32 years old, was considered the heart of the household. Soft-spoken, warm-natured, active in church affairs, and a mother of two. Her husband, William Harper, worked as an accountant for the railway company, respectable, serious, but quietly exhausted from within. They had been married for 10 years, and on the surface, everything seemed fine, but appearances have always been deceiving. That day, the postman arrived later than usual. With heavy steps, he knocked on the wooden door and handed over a parcel. It was wrapped in light brown paper and tied with a red ribbon. On top it read, "Mrs. E. Harper, with affection." Eleanora smiled. "Perhaps Cousin Margaret sent it," she said, her voice filled with pleasure, not suspicion. Inside was a white box. As the lid opened, the scent of sweetness spread through the air. Homemade biscuits, sugar cookies, and small chocolate-coated cakes. Beneath them lay a silk scarf, still bearing a small shop tag. A brief note was tucked inside. "For you, because you've always loved sweet things." The handwriting was unfamiliar, but that hardly mattered. Gifts are not meant to be questioned. That, after all, is the problem. Eleanora shared everything. William took a cake. Her sister Rosaline, visiting the children, ate 2 biscuits. The children jumped with joy. When the neighbor, Mrs. Clark, stopped by for tea, she declined nothing. 4 hours later, the house was filled with screams. First came nausea, then vomiting, then pain beyond description. Stomachs twisted, bodies stiffened. One doctor was called, then another, then a third. All were helpless. Eleanora Harper died the next morning. Her husband survived only until evening. The others lived, but they were never the same again. The diagnosis was clear: poison. When the investigation began, the entire town was shaken. This was no accident. The cakes were laced with poison, an extreme amount, enough that even a single bite could kill. There was only one question: why? William Harper's life was examined in detail. Bank records, letters, old diaries, and then a name surfaced that changed everything. Clara Weston. A woman living in New York, Clara Weston was more than a name. She was a presence, the kind of woman who entered a room and silence instinctively turned towards her. Free-spirited, confident, and beautiful in a way that unsettled the observer. William had known her for years, perhaps better than he knew himself. Their relationship had begun before his marriage, in a time when life was full of promises and no one thought about consequences. Even after his marriage, contact never fully ended. At first, the letters were formal: holiday wishes, polite inquiries, faint echoes of memories. But over time, emotion crept back. Letters once written at a careful distance grew intimate. Clara's words carried longing, questions, complaints. She demanded an explanation for the life William had chosen without her. Then the tone changed. Love gave way to jealousy. Tenderness turned bitter. The letters were no longer questions, but accusations. Are you happy? Truly? Does she even understand you? I know you still think of me. William often didn't reply, but occasionally, carelessly, he wrote a line or two. Perhaps he thought them harmless. Perhaps he didn't realize how carefully every word was being stored in another mind. In one such letter, he casually wrote, "Eleonora has an excessive love for sweets, especially homemade cake. She says it comforts her." To him, it was a trivial domestic remark. To Clara, it was a map. After that day, Clara's letters stopped. Complete silence. William mistook it for peace, never realizing that silence can be more dangerous than noise. Clara planned slowly, not emotionally, but methodically. She chose a New York bakery famous for homemade-style cakes. She specifically selected sweeter items, ensuring no strange taste would be noticed. Her voice was calm, her manner ordinary, like any other customer. She purchased the poison from a pharmacy, claiming she had a rat problem behind her house. The shopkeeper asked questions. She answered calmly. She signed the register under a false name, applying just enough pressure with the pen as though she had done this before. She packed the parcel herself. Her hands didn't shake when tying the ribbon. Her handwriting was neat and gracious when addressing it. She knew people don't suspect beautiful things. When she placed the parcel on the post office counter, her face revealed nothing. Distance gave her confidence. New York to Virginia, far enough that even a crime might grow tired along the way. But distance does not always protect. Postal records provided the first lead. Bakery employees identified her. The pharmacy register resurfaced, and then the letters. Dozens of them, already poisoned with emotion, now serving as evidence of real poison. In court, Clara appeared entirely different. Simple clothing, hair neatly tied, no panic, no remorse. She spoke with confidence, as if she believed her own words. "This is all a conspiracy against me," she repeated again and again. But the picture was already complete for the jury. This wasn't a single mistake. It was a calculated decision, one that began with jealousy and ended in murder. When the verdict was delivered, the courtroom fell silent. Because everyone understood. This judgment wasn't just about a woman. It was about the moment when love loses its humanity. She was sentenced to life imprisonment. She died alone in prison. No one came to claim her body. The house in Lynchburg still stands today. People slow their steps when passing it, as if an old scream remains trapped within the silence. This story does not merely teach us how dangerous poison can be, or what jealousy is capable of. It teaches us that the most dangerous thing of all is trust when it falls into the wrong hands. Because sometimes death doesn't break down the door. It arrives like a gift, smiling, and we invite it inside ourselves.